call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Hope you all had a nice, happy Thanksgiving. I would like to ask Secretary Treasurer Ed J. Warner Jr. to commence with the roll.
Scott Horowitz.
I'm here.
Ed Warner, present. Richard T. Marin, he's absent. Joe McLaughlin. Here. Matt Parson. Here.
All right, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the folks that are on Zoom. Just for informational purposes, our next work session will be Monday, December 16th, 9:30 a.m. here at beautiful Town Hall, followed by our regular meeting at 1 p.m. We do have 4 different meetings of minutes that need approval. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Trustee McLaughlin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We did receive some communications. I will dispense, or make a motion to dispense with reading that. You all can read that.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Trustee Warner. All in favor?
Aye.
We do have some discussions on today. Lake Mississauga Association is here, right on time, and I think we'll get right down to business and ask you all to, I don't know how you want to do this. Do you want to, one person at the...
What we do is we have various presenters.
All right,
going up
so
to
why don't you do that? If you, when you go there, if you could state your name. Is there a sign-in sheet there?
Oh, it's right here. I'll move it.
You know what? If you could sign your name when you go there and state your name clearly for the record, that will be very helpful. So if you could remember that protocol, that would be great.
I don't give what time it's got.
If you take a few minutes each is what we usually will do, but there'll be ample time, I think, to get whatever message you need to the board. I know you got a presentation here.
Okay.
Yeah, just take your time.
Good afternoon, trustees. My name is Dieter von Leesten. I'm on the board of Big Fresh Pond, or Lake Mississauga, as is known with the Indians. And we appreciate that you take time to listen to us today on a subject you're familiar with. We talked to you before on this. It really, what we're here for is, we don't have to tell you about Lake Mississauga. You own it. And we want to just point out the troubles which we are slowly but steadily getting into, like so many of the waters in our town area, the other ponds. Lake Agawam is the key example of what can go really wrong. And we have found out over the last year that unfortunately our lake is going down the same slope. We're having more invasive plants, we're having more algae bloom, and we're having certain species which we seem to have more or less lost, like the painted turtles. I haven't seen one in a long time, and they used to be there regularly everywhere. So what we are asking you, and my colleagues on the board will tell that in detail, we need your help. And the help, what you have done with other ponds, is something which we like to ask you to give us as well, to prevent what happens to it before our lake kicks over and cannot be retrieved easily anymore. We have a chance now. And that is really what I have to say as an introduction. And my colleagues on the board will one after the other come up and continue on this line. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Norman Freiberg. I've been a resident on the lake since 1977. I think Dieter made a great summary of the situation. We have a few pictures to show you. The main point, I think, is that the change has been happening faster than any of us expected. We knew there was going to be change in the lake, but it's happening very quickly. We haven't really had a study done of the lake in 35 years. The main one was done by Dr. Welker in the 70s, 1975, I believe. And there were a couple of follow-up studies. The most recent one was in 1989. So it's been 35 years since we've had any kind of scientific look at what was going on in the lake. But we do have a lot of observations that we can share with you. If we look at, this is a satellite view of the map. It's hard to see here, but the green parts represent where there are now water lilies growing, and the red parts where there are Phragmites australis. The Phragmites are an invasive, non-native species. I think you're all probably familiar with them in various places around the town and around the island. And they are beginning to encroach on areas where they never were before. This is a major growth of Phragmites along the north shore, what I believe is Nature Conservancy property. And you can see how widespread they are. Those plants that you see in the light green are about 12 feet high. That's how big they can get. They're sometimes known as the common reed, but they are a non-native species. This is heading into a cove, that is known on some maps as the Alewife Dreen, which was apparently an Old English word for drain, and it's the only outflow of the lake. And every spring, this species of fish called the alewife, related to the herring, swim up here in vast numbers to spawn in the lake. Our concern is, and as you can see all the lily pads there in the foreground, and if we zoom into where the actual stream leads out of the pond, you can see how overgrown it is with various plants. The concern here is that it makes it difficult for the fish to migrate into the lake to spawn, and it would be a huge impact on the ecosystem of the lake if we lost that. Just for reference, anecdotally, I sailed my boat in there a couple of years ago, and I decided to take a walk along the stream, and when I got out of the boat, I sank in almost to my hips in muck. And luckily, I held onto the boat. I was able to hoist myself back in, but that's the kind of situation we have with sediment at various places in the lake. This is moving west from the Alewife Dreen section of lily pads, and this is new over the last few years with the Phragmites behind it. So you can see how prevalent these are at various places in the lake. This is, the sandy part there is Elliston Park, which of course is the major public access to the lake where many people go to swim. And you can see on the left, the Phragmites and the lily pads are encroaching onto the park land. And if left unchecked, they will eventually go all the way across. I've been swimming this past summer at Elliston Park, and I can tell you that if you go in more than 50 feet from the shore, you're already running into some of the subsurface weeds. So it's a new and ongoing problem. This is going around the corner from Elliston Park, and you can see more lily pads gathering and proliferating. This is new. This is again on the northern shore near the boat launch ramp, the northwestern part of Big Fresh Pond. And you can see this layer of brown gook, I don't know what to call it, sludge. It's deep, you cannot paddle through it. If you get stuck in there, good luck. And went close enough to get a handful, and you can see that it comprises this kind of decaying vegetation matter that's been growing along the edges of the lake now. But we never saw the brown stuff before. Here's another close look to give you an idea of the scale of it. This is about 15 feet deep next to the shore, or rather coming out 15 feet from the shore, and along a length of perhaps 60 or 70 feet along the shore. Completely impenetrable. This was a new phenomenon. This is an island that appeared magically. This is at the southwestern corner of the lake looking west. And this island floated up out of the gunk in the bottom of the lake. And what it is, it's a tangled mass of vegetation. When it heats up in the summertime, you get gas generated underneath and it floats up out of the water. There were 3 such islands in the lake this year. This one, along with the lily pads now, in the autumn, it gets cold, the island has gone underwater again. And there was going to be a video. Is that the last slide? Oh, that's it? Is it possible to play that, please?
Doesn't seem like it.
Well, what this was going to show is actually a view of the town property at the southwestern corner of the pond. There's a small section of town property, and the completely boxed in by Phragmites and water lilies. You can't get to the lake from that piece of town property. And from that point around, there was a panorama shot. Maybe if we go back to the map, let me go back to the map. So you see that entire corner down at the southern end of the lake where it's all green. Thank you. That whole section of the lake is just solid lily pads in the summer. And it's more and more. And they're not all native either. I mean, you can't really say it's a non-native species, but there are varieties of lily pads that were planted by some people for decorative purposes years ago. And again, you can't get a boat through there. Swimming is out of the question. We also have, as Dieter said, there's a lot of now subsurface weeds growing up that weren't there before. One of our neighbors has said it's like swimming through salad. People who used to swim every day have given up. So we're seeing changes, and we're seeing changes more rapidly than we've ever seen before, and that's why we're here today.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Simone. I'm at 260 Big Fresh, resident only since 2015, but here to talk a little bit about the pond. My role here today is to focus on what action possibly, to make the ask, what action possibly can the trustees do? The action we're looking for is, like it's been referred to by Norm and Dieter, is a study and to take action for harvesting and removal, namely harvesting and removal of the water lilies and namely harvesting and removal of the Phragmites. We'll start with the water lilies if that's the more viable approach that's gone on in the past. And then the muck that was described to find a way to eradicate that as well. And we think from the research that we've done and people we've talked to that the trustees could be the applicant on a community preservation fund application to undertake this work, either the immediate eradication work or the study that we're looking to have done. But of course, given the dire circumstances we're seeing worsening over time, we're looking for some mitigation harvesting work to take place right away. We've seen examples in the community preservation fund applications for studying and managing the lake, and I assume the trustees are a lot more familiar than I am with how often CPF goes ahead and approves that. I saw an example from 2024 applications for Mecox Bay where Gobler was involved in doing the study. And so CPF got behind that. And as you can tell, I'm trying to make sure that I'm asking things that I understand will have legs with Community Preservation Fund group. I actually wrote to the Water Advisory Committee, communicated with Emily about that to say, hey, if we go to the trustees and ask them to become an applicant for either study or harvesting work, will the Water Advisory Committee view that as a viable project to include among their projects that they approve every spring? And of course, Ms. Fenlon said, talk to the trustees first. So that's why we're here today one of the reasons we're here today to talk to you about this. For the water lilies, we're thinking a 5-year program of harvesting would be the appropriate approach. We're consistently removing the water lilies, and since we can't dredge, I can't use the dirty word dredge, we can't dredge. So if we're cutting and harvesting the water lilies every year, that will help remove those nutrients from the water over time and make it a lot easier for all the wildlife that we're looking to get back in the pond. And I think this, from my research, it looks like this project would fall well within the aquatic restoration form of funding through CPF, as defined under town law and Southampton Town Code 14031. And we also think the 5 years is appropriate, and it looks like under the statute that you're supposed to have a planning, design, and implementation of a project that is a probable use of 5 years. So that's one of the reasons we're saying 5-year effort to harvest. And we also don't think that this project of harvesting water lilies is any different than what the trustees recently did in 2023 on Mill Pond, where you took money from carp removal, that was CPF water quality money from carp removal, and brought it into this project. It wasn't a big number, but there's the precedent there for water lilies. I can't find others, but I'm sure there are. So that's why we think it's a viable thing for the trustees to step their toe in the water on, if you will. On the Phragmites, we understand lots of people come to you all the time for standard landscaper permits to cut down the Phragmites. That's kind of a routine thing that you have probably on Mecox Bay and Sag Pond and other places. But we're looking for more. As you can see, it's beginning to invade into a recreational use and impairing the wildlife and the alewives' entry into the lake. So we think a more aggressive harvesting approach, even on the Phragmites, is needed. And of course, I've also mentioned the muck, and that's something, again, we would like to have done. And I wanted to emphasize that we as a lake association, every year, more than once a year, we're sending out great newsletters. We hold our annual election event and the gathering event in August of every year, and we meet a couple other times during the year. And we are always talking about how you can't fertilize. Just an absolute no-no. And pump your septic system. And if you are doing the kind of project where the new septic system is required or preferred, get in there and get the better solution going to help eliminate those potential sources of impact on the lake. But since we're being such great stewards, we're hoping that you will share in this in doing what you can to help to be great stewards too of our lake. And that's really it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who's next? Anybody else?
Nope. That was really. Any questions?
No, I think it's a great suggestion. I think that it's a great idea to get moving on something so that it doesn't turn into a situation that has capitulated in some of the other water bodies that we have. I think it's good to get ahead of it. To recognize that you have some changes that are starting to exacerbate the situation. I've been looking at the same types of similar types of projects and other projects that are getting funded based on the town law coming out of the water quality. And I think that there certainly is a tremendous amount of merit to what it is that you're saying. And I think that we should collaboratively figure out how we make the next round. I've had some conversations with some folks that own harvesters, for these lily pads and whatnot, and trying to either get them to form some type of a partnership with the trustees to help us combat invasives throughout, or perhaps sell us the machine and let us learn how to utilize this and take care of this. So I think this is a problem. I think it needs a solution, and I think that we should set up a bit of a working group, because it's kind of like what's going on with the other water bodies that you're talking about, whether it's Mill Pond or it's Agawam. There's community folks that are a working group that have these observations, and they have this historical knowledge. And I think that combined with the stewardship of the trustees and with the help of the folks on the water quality committee and the town board, I think we could be successful at combating what's been happening here. So
Scott, let us know where we can. Excuse me. Let us know where we can join in. If there's
Well, I
anything-
think that's imperative that you join in, and if you
we
look
are-
at
we
the
are ready.
success,
We are ready.
right, so if you look at the success of the two other water bodies that we've discussed, there's a
Yeah.
big component of community stakeholders that are involved as a working group to do that, right? And now Mecox moving in the same direction, having its, okay? So, yeah, we're a 5-member historical board and we're spread out throughout the entire town, and I gotta say, we're doing the best job that we can. But it's always good to get the horsepower of the public behind you, especially that local knowledge and those local observations, to show a real, true public benefit of how these projects are gonna benefit. So, I make myself available to you, as much as I can to do that, and we have got a very excellent, environmental analyst in James Duryea. And we also have the ability to reach to other consultants that could perhaps, help us craft something. And I think we should set up where you don't have to come down here so formal. We could have some meetings at our office over at Hampton Bays and, get in the conference room, and as we've done
As
this.
we did it before.
Exactly, and then roll our sleeves up and actually get to work. So
Shall we work with John to get into the
James,
Yeah, with James.
you should work with James, but
James? My question, the question really is, can we use you as a conduit to get together with these other people in other pond areas so that we can join in this group effort? Are you?
well, I would, I would facilitate that with
Okay.
you as the
Okay.
president of the board. I don't have a problem facilitating
Okay,
that
excellent.
straight out of the gate. And then James's expertise is in dealing with, the regulatory authorities and helping us.
We did apply for a water lily removal permit for Big Fresh Pond, and we got a response back, and we needed to give them updated pictures and stuff like that, which we did. So we're just waiting for a response.
So there's something is in action already.
Right, so we
It's
had,
already- yeah, from our last.
right,
From
so
the
we
last
had a
meeting.
meeting, just
Yeah,
so that you know, and so that,
We're moving
right,
on
so that the
that.
public knows, you did come in, we did have a conversation, and we did take an action, because to do these things, you need to get permits. So your requests and our discussion didn't fall on deaf ears. We've been working on this.
Excellent. Good. to
So
know.
so
Yeah.
we're
Thank
already
you.
wheels in motion on this. The board's already wheels in motion on trying to find a solution, because you need to have the blessing of the other regulatory authorities. So it's good that you came in, because, right, we're in a holding pattern right now. And I would facilitate, with my board, what it is that we need to do, and then James can continue on in the good work that he does in helping us deal with the regulatory
Okay, so
authorities.
we are waiting word from you now. The moment you have a response as to
Well,
what's next.
that's just one.
That's
I
one-
mean,
one-
you
Yeah,
one
yeah.
piece.
You
One
need to
other
meet
piece.
with the trustees to see.
Now,
what
let me
steps
ask you
to go
another
forward.
question.
I don't
The
know.
trustees every year used to clean up Alewife Creek.
We do it every year,
You do it every year.
yes.
Now, and if you could look at this point where it has grown in, that's where you never had to do anything before. If you could point it out to whoever that does the cleanup, to really go the entrance from the lake into Alewife Creek, that is a new phenomena that's growing closer and closer. The Phragmites and the branches and the trees which have fallen into the creek the rest of the way, that was always cleared out, but not that didn't need it. Now it needs it.
Well, our marine maintenance, our crew of 4 will go down there this late winter, early spring.
Yeah.
More late winter, and I will recommend basically to start basically from Noyak Road and go all the way to the very end to Big Fresh.
Excellent.
So
Thank
do
you.
the whole 9 yards. Normally we do from the North Sea Road down towards the Noyak Road, but
Yeah.
we'll expand the
Would be
and,
great.
and just send them down there with their wader boots, and hopefully the water level is low so they can navigate quickly through there and clean
Yeah,
up
the water level
branches.
has gone down.
Yes, so we haven't had much rain in 60 days. So
So navigation aids have been a priority for the maintenance crew at this time of the year.
Navigate through the
Right.
the river, not navigation.
I am the trustee of the area, so if any of you have any questions, I am the trustee liaison of the area, so you can always reach out to me personally, and I will talk to Scott or to my board and see what we can do to facilitate more conversation.
Excellent. Thank you.
But
Thank
we
you.
already started with one component of what you need after our other meeting.
Okay,
It sounds
So-
like this
DEC
needs to be, instead of a piecemeal kind of a deal, I think it needs to be a holistic approach. I
Yeah.
mean, you've already mentioned the septic, you've already looking into your homes of what's coming off the runoff with possible fertilization and groundwater intrusion, so we know that's there, but we need basically, to put this all together, we need basically probably a new pond study.
Yeah.
And, I know that's very costly, but we do have the history of working with, Mill Creek and Mill Pond, and that association of people, and we have Princeton Hydrological and a bunch of other people that have looked into these pond studies. So we do have all that information, so maybe we can get, a point person from you, Joe here, and maybe one of the other trustees, to sit down and really put an actual bucket list of what we have to do, check it off, and then, because
you're ready.
because you did a broad stroke here. We gotta narrow each one of these little issues down.
Correct. And we already got wheels in motion with,
Yeah.
with the one aspect of it. So
Okay.
let's, you know how to reach me. We don't have to be so formal
I think so.
with this, and then we can set some further meetings and discussions up to continue moving
So
forward.
that's all I can say now. Thank you for listening to us. We appreciate that very much, and we now know where to go next.
Good.
Hey everyone, I'm Grant Greenberg. So I just want to better understand where things are at in terms of the permitting process and what we have applied for, or the trustees have applied for, and what that would
James,
look
you
like.
want to explain it?
Yeah, we applied for water lily removal mainly
And who is that from?
with the DEC.
So it's a DEC permit that you've
Correct.
applied for, and is that just for water lilies, or it's also for phragmites?
Water lily.
Just water lilies at this point. So where are we at in that process with the DEC?
We submitted all the material that they requested. They came back with an incomplete application requesting new photos, a fee, new plans that showed like the amount, cubic yards and stuff like that. So I provided all that to them and haven't heard back since. So
Okay.
In process.
Of course,
It's
yeah.
standard.
We're here to help you with that. So if there's anything we can do to help assist with that, we're happy to.
Yeah.
Please
I mean,
reach out.
I think we're starting on the water lilies first because it's on our underwater lands that we own. The Phragmites, which is some of it's on, Nature's Conservancy, private individual properties, town properties. So that's a little bit more of a difficult application. Usually that's done by individual property owners that, down in Sag Pond and Mecox, individual property owners would come to us and they would want to do individual, basically projects. I don't know if we can put it together as a big fresh pond permit at large for the whole entire pond. As an elected official, I think that would be a much easier way for us to take care of selecting individual sites around the pond. But then again, you need, to figure out the cost and everything of that project. And, then we would need to come up with a, process through the committee for CPF 20 funding and stuff like that, a good narrative, and, and include the other projects that would be going along with it, and try to put it under water quality, because it has to do with water quality that was driving these, growth of these stands of, plants.
Right. I think we did an inventory and figured out that there were 70 different property owners all the way around the pond town, Peconic Land Trust, Nature Conservancy, and then individual homeowners. And two of the biggest areas of the Phragmites are on the Nature Conservancy property and the Peconic Land Trust properties. So if we were wanting to do a smaller project, that would be an obvious place for us to possibly start, as opposed to homeowners.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, we've done projects in the Long Pond Greenbelt where they come in and they cut and they, cut them and they, with, who did we do that project with in the Long Pond Greenbelt? Remember with Ann and going down there with a boat and cutting that little
the invasive, Long Island invasive species.
task force?
Yeah.
I forget.
They came down with the
Yeah,
kayaks.
there's an actual group of people that go from pond to pond to pond and start these little projects.
Right.
So maybe we could hook you guys up and you can have a conversation with them.
I think we're just going to have to
Yeah.
continue to have some meetings and keep moving forward. Obviously, we had one. We started the first part of the process, and we need to keep going. And if you look at the other water bodies that we talked about, Mill Pond, Agawam, Mecox, it's a process. it takes time. These things are not like, silver bullet solutions.
Please, can you repeat again, what's the name of that invasive task
Long
force?
Island,
Yeah.
Long Island Invasive Species Management Association.
Right.
Thank you.
One thing that you have that none of the other ponds have, you have alewives in there,
Yes.
which it makes it a completely unique and different, that they're a managed resource, New York State, and the town has taken it upon themselves to have no catching of alewives when they're going this way. So you have a unique, basically, fish in there. So you take that, I think you should utilize that, or we should
We should
utilize
utilize that.
that as much as possible.
It's a fact.
Because, I mean, this is one of the biggest spawning grounds for alewives other than
It's a
Peconic.
protected species.
It is a protected, so that gives us a level above what we do in some of the other ponds.
It's an excellent project.
And that's why we're trying to get, with Mill Pond, we're trying to get a fish ladder to get the alewives reintroduced into Mill Pond so that we have that talking point for that pond
Right.
also.
And just to go back to water lilies removal, past experience with DEC, I just hope you guys understand that it's not removal of the water lilies completely. It's at the end of the season, cutting off the tops so that they don't drop back down and stuff like that.
Sure.
It's not
Yeah.
removing it. I think they only allow like up to 20% of the entire amount of water lilies to be actually removed.
Right.
So there's possibility maybe to do like strips to allow access and stuff like that, but it's not to just completely remove them. They are beneficial to the lake, fish, LY habitat, shading to prevent high temperatures, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's not a complete removal, it's just when they die off in the fall and you get them before the nutrients then decompose.
Right, and I think that's, we're completely in agreement with that. Our point of wanting to do it is just to start to remove some of the nutrients in the lake, because it does seem like with the excessive plant growth that we've been seeing in the last 2-3 years, that it is building up and getting progressively worse. So if we can open up some of the water lilies areas, we feel like that will help
Right.
significantly to take.
You got to manage it versus just letting it run wild. So you got to
Right.
get a handle on it.
So assuming the DEC approves the permit, what could potentially happen after that, and how can we be ready to help at that point?
That's, that's up to
That's
the
we.
trustees
That's a big discussion. That
Okay.
we've got to
who's gonna pay for it.
exactly. That's what you got to make an approach to get the grant. That we got a lot of steps to get through before we get to that point. But you need this to get to that. Those are conversations we can continue to have with consulting with other people and
Sure.
as we move forward.
So right now you're saying we should just wait until we
You
get.
should wait now. Let's get this going. We'll set up another meeting. It doesn't have to be as formal. We can meet in our office in Hampton Bays, and we can kind of do similarly like these other organizations have going on, just among this one with you folks, and then just keep chugging forward that way, and we'll boil it down.
Great. We
Okay.
really continue to appreciate all of your thoughtfulness with the approach to the pond, and we are hopeful that we can make something happen here. Thank
It's
you.
already started. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So we got public portion next. Right? Is there anybody else here that needs to address the board, or anybody on Zoom that needs to address the board? Take care now.
Thank you very much.
For any other purpose? Anybody got their hand up on Zoom? Nobody? Here for public portion? No? All right, so let's go, I'll make a motion to close public portion then.
Second it.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor? Okay, let's move over to the applications for permit. Our trustees hereby waives a public hearing on the following applications because it's been determined that the following projects do not raise a significant degree of public interest. The public input is not needed to aid in the decision-making process. Trustee
All right.
Warner.
Have a Trustee Resolution 2024-333, application of Lighthouse Trust, 3/3/20, 11 Lighthouse Road, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County, tax map 900, 347-1-20.1, body of water, Shinnecock Bay, We worked on this at several work sessions. I believe we have gone through all the issues and questions, and I'd like to recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2024-334. Application for 127 Halsey LLC, 127 Halsey Lane, Suffolk County, tax at 900-114-3-20.3 body of water, Mill Creek. We worked on this at work session, and I recommend its approval.
Seconded, trustee Parsons, all in favor?
Aye. Trustee Resolution 2024-335, application for Open Gulo, 40 Noyak Harbor Road, Noyak, Suffolk County, tax map 900-299-1-19.2, body of water, Noyak Creek. We worked on this at work session. I recommend its approval.
Seconded, trustee Parsons, all in favor?
Resolution 336, application of 94 Boyson Road, Southampton Village. This was the bulkhead replacement, as discussed during work session a couple weeks ago. Application number 904 12-1-19, Southampton Village. May I have a second for this?
Second on this?
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Application 337, application of 16 Cobra Road, North Sea, New York, tax number 900-61-1-69 by Water Fish Cove. Can I have a second on that?
Second on that?
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Application 338, I'm sorry, resolution 338, application 90 Island Creek Road, North Sea, New York, tax map 900-92-314 by Water Little Savannah Creek. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Have one more.
Sorry.
339.
Application, resolution 339, application 191 Big Fresh Road, Big Fresh, North Sea, Southampton, tax at 900-94-1-35 by Water Big Fresh. I have a second on that.
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye. I've got trustee resolution 2024-340, application of Steve Ryder, 191 Long Neck Boulevard in Flanders. This is something we've worked on progressively over the last several months, and it's nice to see this finally getting through here. So can I get a second on this, please?
Second.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Back to Ed.
Trustee Resolution 2024-341, recall and amend Resolution 2024, Trustee 330 for a new pressure washer.
Second.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye. Trustee Resolution 2024-342, authorizing expenditure for hunting signs. I recommend approval. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded, trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Trustee resolution 2024-343, 2024-25 waterfowl hunting location application. Whereas the following waterfowl hunting location approved individuals from the wait list, permit number 232, Michael Soma, approved from the wait list.
Second that.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
2024-344, transfer permittee and or addition of co-permittee were received. Permit number 71, Matthew Soma and Attilio Soma, removal of a co-permittee Matthew Soma and addition of co-permittee Nick Nickus. Permit number 232, Michael Soma, addition of co-permittee Nick Nickus. Permit number 88, Kim Lesser, removal of co-permittee William Stabelic, who's deceased. Permit number 89, Kim Lesser, removal of co-permittee William Stabelic. And permit 116, Keith Ellison and Richard Jaminski, removal of co-permittee Richard Jaminski.
A second on that.
Seconded, trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
2024-345. Following waterfowl hunting locations late renewal applications were received in the trustee's office. Sean King, number 49, Daniel Lozado, number 86, Timothy Hurley, number 9, William Clare, number 191. And they are hereby being approved.
I'll second that.
Seconded by trustee Warner, all in favor?
I have a walk-on here.
We have a walk-on.
Walk-on, I'd like to do a walk-on. and you
I will give you the second for your walk-on, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Warner, you have the floor with your walk-on.
Walk-on number 20 of 2024, register reads as Be Ready Fishman Hatter, $17,946.88. Elm Financial Services, $2,791.25. Joseph R. Lombardo, $2,300. PSEG Long Island, $36.51. Town of Southampton, $8.38. East Hampton Town Trustees, sum of $2,000, and WB Mason Inc., $72.49, for a total of $25,155.51. I recommend approval. I need a second.
I'll second
Seconded trustee McLaughlin, all in favor?
that. And Parsons.
And Parsons. You guys are kind of right neck and neck on the
That's right.
second there.
Photo finish.
So that completes the scheduled agenda. I don't know if there's any additional discussions that need to be had. We've had a busy morning here. Very good. Has anybody got anything they need to report? No? No reports, Joseph?
Not my end.
All right. Well, that being said, I think that we can adjourn our meeting and move off to executive session for the purposes of discussing personnel issues.
I'll second.
Seconded trustee Warner, all in favor?
Aye.
Well, good afternoon, everybody.